You are tuning into the Goldilocks Productions presentation of the Angels and Healing Light Show. Sit back, relax, and be open to receive the angelic messages and healing channeled through your host, Laura Romeiro.
Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Laura Romeiro, and I'm so glad to have you join me this morning on the Angels and Healing Light Show. It's a pleasure to be with you and a pleasure to have you back in this connection of friends and family and people that are here to share their energy, their love, their light to help make life better and easier for all of us, but to mostly talk to you about angels and healing. Angels are those beautiful divine beings of God, and they are here to help us have a happier, healthier life, to help us in so many, many ways, and also to bring you healing. I'm so passionate about healing. You know, there are many, many areas of life that we can be healed, that we can help others heal. And so my goal and my mission in life is to help you reconnect with your angels and to help bring healing to you. So I'm very pleased to have you with me, and I'm very pleased and honored to be with you this morning and every morning, every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time here, Goldilocks Productions. Just of note, today is the last show for the Christmas and holiday break, so I'll be back again on January the 7th at 11 a.m., and I look forward to you connecting with you. In the meantime, sit back and relax. I have a wonderful guest today who's got fascinating stories and insights that we all need to hear. The wonderful psychic medium, Noreen Bill. And Noreen is a lovely lady, another one from the west coast of Florida, the Gulf Coast of Florida. This is where all the happening people are, I'm telling you. But growing up spiritually, Noreen has always bridged the gap that exists in the mind, body, and spirit connection. She understands the healing value of helping people to release past hurts and answer those unanswered questions through her reading. She very ethically honors her intuitive gifts, and she reads from the heart. And again, her goal is to help people with their spiritual path and assist in soul growth. And I am so very happy to have her with me this morning, and I can't wait for you to hear her stories today. I think they're going to make a very important impact in your life. So welcome, Noreen. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It is a pleasure to have you here.
Well, good morning, Miss Laura. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderfully, wonderfully well. Thank you. I'm happy you're here.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you again. I always enjoy our conversations.
You are such an insightful woman, and you are such a bright light. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I had the pleasure of meeting Noreen at a psychic fair, and let me tell you how lovely this lady is. She came packed with enough sandwiches to share with everyone. She made 12 sandwiches for those of us readers that could not get up and go get lunch. So she saved our lives that day, but that's the kind of woman she is. She comes prepared to help people in so many different ways, and it was a little thing, but it made all the difference in the world, and it just goes to show that her intentions are definitely from the heart. So it's a pleasure to meet you again and work with you. Noreen and I actually are going to be reading together in January next month already. Can you believe it? On Sunday, January the 12th, we're going to be reading at the Charlotte Harbor Event and Conference Center, which is in beautiful Punta Gorda, Florida. It's a wonderful festival put on by Illuminate, and it is going to be filled with practitioners, vendors, holistic services, unique and beautiful gifts, natural, local things. It's actually a beautiful fair, and I am really pleased to be in the company of Noreen again and in this beautiful setting. So if you're in the Punta Gorda area, join us on Sunday, January the 12th from 10 to 4. If you're not in the Punta Gorda area, we'll make plans to go there because I know it's going to be a beautiful day filled with beautiful messages. So Noreen, I am very interested to hear your stories, and I know our listeners are too, because what you were telling me, the very little bit about your near-death experiences and the way that it impacted your life and the way you look at life. And I think that, you know, I'm a big believer in the healing properties of mediumship. And to take it even a step further, to actually have the information that you're going to share with us, I think is just profoundly healing. And I would love to hear your story and your insight about this.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank you for everything you said. It almost made me cry.
We do that on the show from time to time.
Okay. The reason behind these experiences is to show us that there are things beyond our wildest imagination, just things that we could never understand or even conceive while we're in our three-dimensional human form, limited by our five senses. Thank God we have our connection to the other side. The first experience that I remember having was we were all immunized going to school, and I had a reaction to it, of course, wound up in Children's Memorial Hospital. And I remember lying in this crib in the hallway, and there were many, many kids there. And I was really, really, really sick. And I just remember the doctor standing there shaking his head no. And my parents were like hysterical. And the next thing I know, I was above myself and above my parents. And I just felt warm and happy and almost like a hug. I guess that is how I would describe it. It just felt kind of like a big hug. And so I'm looking down, and the overwhelming hug that I felt, the peace that I felt, and it's coming from a 5-year-old at the time, was just beyond description. So now I'm looking down and I see my parents, and I'm thinking, what are they so upset about? Why are they crying? So suddenly I was back in my body because I had to go back to see what my parents were crying about. So I always knew that there was something else. I was raised in a spiritual home. And the first time I said to my mother, I knew I wasn't from here, she said to me, sit down, we have to talk. And so she kind of explained a little bit about the gifts that we were given. And she had a minimal understanding. And so when I talked to her about the hospital, what happened at the hospital, she kind of just waved at me and said, oh, that happened a couple times before. And so it was like, to her it was not a big deal that had happened, but she talked about what I brought back with me when I came. And so the experiences that I had after that were just very profound. And I did bring back a lot. It was it's hard to describe. There's no words really to describe the other side. It's just a feeling of overwhelming peace and love, acceptance, tranquility, knowledge. And it literally is life-changing, being raised in an Irish Catholic home. By the time you're 18, you're sure you're going to hell. And of course, what I found through my experiences is there is no such thing. It's just the experiences we have on Earth, and it is hell a lot of times for a lot of people. But I found that you don't get points for the fluffy stuff. You only get soul points, I call them, for the tough stuff that we go through, and it is tough. And I mean, there's no question about it. But we survive, and we go forward. And in that knowledge, we're able to have an understanding to help other people, because we've been through that ourselves, and we can come from the heart with compassion and love and do what we can to help other people, go through their experiences. So that was the first one that I remember. I've had several.
Well, that was a really, I think, a beautiful thing that you just said, is that we come back, or you come back, or get to a point where we've gone through so much difficulty, we reach a point where we can turn around and help other people go through their difficulties.
Yes, that's exactly true. And I mean, that's what this is all about. I mean, Earth definitely is a school. And knowing that I wasn't from here was a great advantage, because then I knew I wasn't staying.
I think a lot of people have feelings that they don't fit in, or, and you say you're not, from here. What kind of insight do you have for people that feel that maybe they don't fit in, or is there some light you can shed on that?
Well, it's definitely like living on an island, that's for sure. Growing up, knowing things about people, and it scares people. In the movies, the zombies are supposed to rise and all this kind of thing, and I guess that's the filmmaker's version of the actual spiritual armada that's going on. And the zombies really represent the people that don't realize or have lost their connection, and they get overwhelmed by life. And I call them earthbound. I don't like the term unconscious, but people that become earthbound and get locked in their experiences and don't realize what this is all about, that it is about soul growth, and that we are here to heal the soul, and we are here to help each other. I mean, God gave us this beautiful planet to do all of these things on, lessons. So in readings, when I say to somebody, well, you've never really made a mistake, their mouths just fall open, because it's your free will that you're using learning your lessons. And we have learned so many different things, and to know that we have been everything, we have done everything, that everything is energy, to me was overwhelming. It took me a long time to understand that. And once we get that idea, that makes that connection, gets all the garbage out of the way of the mind and the ego, and then we can tap into that connection.
And when you say tap into that connection, do you mean the connection of the school, the life school that we're going through? What do you mean by that connection? And how can people tap into it to help them grow and learn and, have the experiences that they need to get to where they're the happiest and healthiest they can be?
It's our connection to God or Spirit or the universe or the omniverse, whatever it is you feel you're connected to or will connect to. Those are just labels. But it is the energy that we truly are. I mean, the body is the carrier. The body is the way our energy gets around on Earth and goes through these lessons. And people just get so caught up in things that happen and overwhelmed by the things that happen in life, and forget that we came here with our soul family, and the people around us are part of our soul group and have volunteered to help us learn the lessons that we have asked to learn. When I realized that my family came forward, and they all did, came forward to help my spiritual growth, to help my soul grow, then I became aware of how being grateful instead of being angry or upset or carrying fear or whatever, that I became grateful, number one, that I survived. Number two, that my spiritual gifts have really, really grown and has helped me carry the message forward. And then the death experiences were just part of, because a lot of people have blind faith. I had to be shown. So through the death experiences, I have been shown the other side. And so I can come back, and I can't really describe, because there are things there that there's nobody on earth that would ever know. But it's there, and it's real, and that's the real part. I mean, Earth is really the incarnation in the body is really kind of the dream of the soul, I guess you would say. And who we truly are, the energy that we truly are, exists everywhere. And when people cross over, it's just the body that's been cast, the carrier that's been cast. But the energy that we are is there. I mean, it's real, and energy cannot be destroyed. I mean, it just transforms, and that's exactly what we do. We just transform. And so through the death experience, the one that really, well, there are several, but I was first I'll tell you the story. I was in a sound sleep, and I never napped, but this afternoon I did, and it was divinely driven for a reason. And all of a sudden I felt my feet and my hands being pulled, and I pulled back. And I didn't know what was happening, and so now I'm awake, and here are 4 white, beautiful, and I mean absolutely stunning, and I can still see them, angels picking me up. And there was a 5th angel talking to me. And this angel said, "Can you feel the peace and love?" And it was so profound. I carry that with me all the time. I mean, that's where it comes from. And it was just, there were just no words to feel that, or to describe how I felt or feel today. And they said, "Well, you're done and you can come home, and we'll take you." And I'm thinking, I still have young kids, I have grandkids, and there was a lot more that I really wanted to do. So I said, I really don't want to go. I would like to stay. And so they picked me up 3 times, and I pulled back 3 times. And so finally, the angel that was talking to me said, "Okay, well, if you want to stay, you can do this or you can do that." And I said, "Okay, I will." And that was really when, what do I want to say? My gifts really started coming really full force. And then I understood what they were for and the job that I had to do, and that was what I was assigned at the time. And so I can still see them. They're waiting for me, because our life here is just like the blink of an eye from the other side. It's so fast. And my mother had this theory that as you get older, life goes faster, and she said that's because you get tired. And I think that's really true, because my life is flying by, but it's been the best part of everything. It's been the sum of my experiences, and it's been the best part of everything. And when I could make that connection to understand that I was here for soul growth and what my job is, it made forgiveness so easy. I still carry the experiences from the past, but I understand that I live in this moment now, and that I'm the summation of the past, and I survived very well, and I understand that I experienced those things so I could understand and help other people with the things that they've gone through to the best of my ability, because I still am in human form. So, but there is a deep understanding. I have a young friend who's a biologist, and he told me that the heart and the brain operate individually, that the heart has some biological makeup that operates the same as the brain, and then it would click, because that's the spiritual connection. I mean, it may come through the brain, but it comes from the heart. It all comes from the heart. And so that was a cool message that I got the other day.
So you have learned that what is on the other side is an atmosphere and a place of love and peace and tranquility and joy.
There's no anger, no upset, no fear. I mean, it's our experiences on Earth are looked at as lessons. There's no judgment. I mean, it's done in love and understanding. And the things that we've picked to do, to learn, to experience, God gave us free will, how we go about it to learn our lessons. But we have chosen this path. And our guides, our angels, all of heaven's helpers do their very best to communicate with us and keep us on our path. And once I got all the past stuff out of my head, the connection just became very, very strong.
This morning I kept getting a repetitive message from my angels, and that was, it's all up to you. Everything is up to you. It's up to you what you do with your experiences or with your situation. And there's always an option. There's always a choice. But it is up to you. I think I heard that 5 or 6 times this morning. So that reminds me that we need to look at something and realize that it's possible to make changes in one way or another. But that message was repeated several times this morning. So when you came back from these experiences, what do you think is the most important thing that people should know?
Well, the most important experience that I had, I mean, each time I progressed more and more. I had the silver cord attached to me and was yanked back to Earth. And here's what I've learned, that you don't have to be ill to cross over. You can just go home in your sleep. That you get into the window, because God gives you all these opportunities. But once you get into your window, and He doesn't say, well, next Tuesday at 3 o'clock you're going home. It's not that way. There's just a window in time that you will go home. How you do that, how you cross over, how you do that is up to you. And as you said, it's God gave us free will, and so how we go through all of our experiences is up to us. But you don't have to be sick, and it doesn't have to be tragic. You can just lay down and go to sleep, and bam, you're there. You go. And I've been at the bedside of my mother, my father, my sisters, and I've seen them go. I've seen the energy go. This is a gift that God gave me. I saw the energy go. And that's just confirmation that it's just way more than just a physical body. Way more than just a physical body. I had some unnecessary exploratory surgery when I was much younger, but it was very necessary because in that adventure, when they put me down to do the surgery, I flatlined. And I was gone a long time. They had me wheeled off in the corner and covered up with a sheet because they figured that was it. In that experience, I was in the garden with my guardians. I went to the Hall of Records. I went before my board because there are many masters. I went before my board and I talked to them. And I just came back. I mean, it was like I opened my eyes and I was back. And so here I am in the operating room and I sit up on the table and everybody's looking at me, not saying a word. There's a doctor and two nurses and they're just not saying a word. One nurse passed out.
Oh my God.
And they're just not saying a word. And I said to them, what the heck just happened? And they said, well, you flatlined as soon as we put you down. And then they went into all this, this physical damage, and I just said, that's not going to happen because this was divinely driven. And I didn't say those words, but I knew what it was. So I could see the other side and bring back this information that, yes, this is what it is. And everybody's experience is personal. Everybody's crossing, everybody's situation is personal. But it's not someplace up in the sky. I mean, it's all around us. All of our loved ones are around us. If they're not busy doing, because you have to work on the other side, definitely, just like you do here. But they're around us, and all we have to do is put down that shield and just listen and feel, and you'll get signs and you'll get messages. And I mean, to me, it's just overwhelmingly amazing. I just don't know what words to use to describe because it's something that you have to experience personally. And as I said, everybody's experience is different. But it was proof to me. It showed me, told me what it was. I mean, I was there there's no time and space when you don't have the body anymore. There's not really time and space. But
I thank you for volunteering. Thank you for volunteering to experience those things so that you can share some of this insight with us. And because I think that what you're saying is very important for everyone to know and to understand. And especially when we are missing our loved ones that are in spirit, and just reminding everyone that, as you say, take down the shield and know that your loved ones are always sending you messages and they're always around, and that our spirit and love does not die. Even though the body might, they are still there. Beautiful stuff.
It is. And,
Noreen,
to those that... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you finish your sentence.
To those people that carry guilt and upset and, I should have been there when my father died, or did I do this right, or did I not do this right, or, it's you. If you weren't there, you weren't supposed to be there. You have to understand that, you're doing the best that you can. You're dealing with a situation that's very tough, and you're doing the best that you can with what you have. And so people that carry all that around, when my mother died, it just tore me up for a long time. There was so much regret. And then I realized that it was all supposed to be that way. And that sounds very cliche, but it was all supposed to be that way. And I did the best that I could for her. And she waited till everybody left the room before she left. Not with my father or my sisters, but when she went, and she was the first experience that I had with someone crossing over. She waited till everybody left the room, and then she left. She was gone.
So everyone left the room.
Yeah, when everybody left the room, and then she was gone. And it's a tough situation.
Often that people will wait until they can have that time to themselves to leave. I hear that story often. People that won't leave the bedside for days on end, and that 1 minute where they're gone for 5 minutes, just the 1 minute that they take that opportunity to leave. Yes. And you're right. I think it is for a reason.
Yes, and it is. And it is because you have to have, it's like, you have to let go so they can go home, and they stay because of us, because we're crying or we're upset or we're just whatever we are about the situation, They stay because they're trying to comfort us, which I thought was amazing when my mother told me that. She stayed because she didn't want us to be upset, and she did the best that she could. You have to honor both sides. You have to honor life, and you have to honor spirit. Because she stayed through tremendous situations that I don't know how people survived, but how they would survive what she went through.
That in and of itself
she stayed
is a
for
powerful
us.
Act of love.
And it is. And it is. And so growing
Noreen,
up, no matter what.
I've got a couple of callers, so if you don't mind, I'd like to take one of those callers now, if that's okay with you.
Sure, it's
All
fine.
right, well, let me say good morning to Kavita.
Hi, Laura. I just wanted to say happy Merry Christmas. It's the last show. I just like tuning in and listening.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, any messages for 2020?
Well, for you, it's an explosion of growth for you. It's a total path of new beginnings, and they're showing me the yellow brick road, which turns, as it begins in the Wizard of Oz. It starts out at the very inside of the spiral and grows bigger and bigger and bigger as you travel. And as you're traveling out farther, there are more and more places and opportunities and people that will come your way. So don't jump off the path. It may seem small, like you're going nowhere at the beginning, but you are going to go great places. And I see you as being very, very happy.
Great. Thank you.
Noreen, do you have any input there?
Do you have a small child?
No.
No? Okay. It's not you I'm reading then. Okay. No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Well, Merry Christmas, Kavita. Thank you for listening and calling in as always. And I know you're going to have a great 2020.
Oh, thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I can't believe it's almost the end of 2019. Boy, time is just, and it's hard, when it doesn't snow and you don't have much of a change of seasons here in Florida. It's hard to equate the seasons with the, growing up north. With all of those seasonal, what the old saying is, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. But it's hard because the weather is so steady and stable here that it's like, wow, is it really Christmas? Because I'm still wearing flip-flops and shorts.
Well, we have a change of seasons.
And there's palm trees everywhere.
Yeah, we have a change of seasons. We have wet season, dry season, hurricane season, and Taurus season.
I didn't think of it that way. But you're absolutely right. Yes, definitely humid season. Gosh, thank you. Let me take another question here, Noreen. I'm getting a question from Annie, and she wants to know what is in store for her in 2020 in the, she's asking two questions, but I'm going to just answer one because that's all we have time for. She wants to know what's in store for her in the area of career, and that is from Annie.
Well, I'm not connecting with anybody today.
Okay, so let me see what I can say for Annie. Annie, in terms of career for you, I'm getting a very strong sense of stability. Very, very stable. It feels like an office environment with a little bit chaotic, a little bit, there's a lot going on, but it feels like there's a strong sense of stability and fulfillment. You feel good when you go there. When you leave at the end of the day, you're still smiling. You've accomplished things, and it feels good at the end of the day. So stability and sense of fulfillment and happiness and just a nice environment to be in. So that's a good way to start the year. So look forward to that in 2020. And remember, everyone that's listening, it's up to you. So be mindful of things that are going on in your life that either are working or are not working. So being mindful of those things, those are your flags. So keep focused on where you're feeling good about things, where you're not feeling good about things, so that can give you direction and ability to make changes to put you in the direction you'd like to go. Remember that your angels are always there to help you simply by asking. They will help guide you to those areas in life that will move you into places where you're supposed to be, with the people you're supposed to be surrounded by. It's a cornucopia of opportunity, and it's up to you. All right. All righty. So, Noreen, I really love all of the things that you're saying. It leaves me with such a strong sense of peace and tranquility, just hearing about your experiences and your descriptions, and reminding people that they're just being grabbed a hold of by angels, and at that very moment being told that, you're loved and you're cared for. I mean, how does it get any better than that?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
To me, that is just such a beautiful, it just really warms my heart. When you talked about going into the Hall of Records, can you talk about that a little bit?
There was a very large book that I was shown, and it had everything about me, about my journey. And there really was not a beginning. I don't know how to explain this. It's one of the mysteries, I guess. There's really not a beginning, and there's really not an ending. It's just continuous was the feeling that came from it. And all of my experiences, who I was, what I did, how I handled things. I mean, everything is there, and it's read energetically, so it's not in words. And it's just, you just know, but and your guides are there with you the whole time. And so they kind of talked to me while I was looking through this book. And I just came away with a better understanding of the soul's journey, and understood that, you know, who you are is who you are on the other side as well. It's hard to explain, but I guess that's all I can say is I just read it energetically. I mean, it to me, I think because I was in human form, it was a physical book, but I was reading it energetically. And then when I did go before the board, they asked me what did I want to do and what would I like to, how would I want to continue. And so I guess the book gave me information, because who can remember any of that stuff? There's so much. You can't remember it all. And so I spoke to the board, and this is what I wanted to do. And they were like, okay, go for it. And then when I sat in the garden, I talked with my guides, and I've had the same guides that have been with me from the beginning here on Earth. And through some meditations and some classes that I took for psychic development, because I liked meeting other spiritual people. There's nothing like being surrounded by that energy of other people on the same wavelength. And so that's the reason I took the class. And through a meditation, I met two of my guides, and that experience was just totally overwhelming. So it's you have to bring it back to Earth and, you know, put it in simple terms. And the garden is beautiful. I can say that. It's just the most peaceful, loving, accepting place. And I think acceptance is key here on Earth of the things you can't change. You can't change someone else. You can't change anything in the past. You can just be who you are in this very second, in this very minute. You can just be who you are. And this is where you make your decisions. This is where your life is. It's not tomorrow. Tomorrow hasn't happened yet. And so I think that was some of the things that we discussed, because I was always in the past. You know, the past was running my life, and that makes you carry regret and anger and fear and upset. And when I realized, and with the help of my experience, I'm not that person anymore. You know, the soul is fluid and it's ever changing. And so we grow from all of that. And just holding on to something that, you know, some kid in 5th grade that kicked you in the shins and you cried, holding on to that only drags you down and clogs up the walkie-talkie that you have with God, just kind of clogs it up, because then you can't hear, you can't realize, you can't understand exactly what's going on. You can't get the messages, I guess I would say, because your brain and your ego are too engaged, and they're it's a war. They kind of block out everything, and we lose so much when we live through the ego and through the brain, you know, like everything has to make sense, and it doesn't. You know, it makes more sense to me that, yes, I've had experiences with angels. Yes, I talk to dead people, and they're not dead. They're just transformed. And why is it called near death? Because it's not. I mean, you are gone. There's no question about it. You are not in your body. It's totally different from when you travel. You leave just enough energy in your body, and you can travel at night and go wherever you go. Oh, which leads me to one other thing to tell people, that when people are dying from horrible diseases, and I mean, that's the most helpless feeling in the world, when you're standing next to somebody's bed and there's nothing you can do, or in a situation where there's nothing you can do. The soul has the choice, and most souls do this, and I have seen this in my father and my sisters, that they leave just enough energy, the soul leaves just enough energy to let the body die a natural process, to whatever process has been selected, that the body will die in that process. That's called honoring the body, honoring the path. And they go. They're gone. They're not there. And so, but we're here on Earth, and we're experiencing every pain and everything that they're going through, and we're trying to make decisions and help them. But they're not even really there.
And they're already
gone. They may sit up. My sister, my oldest sister, sat up the last couple of days she was here, and she was talking, and she was happy, and she was smiling, and her body was riddled with cancer. I mean, she weighed 70 pounds, and yet she was up and she was talking, and it was the last goodbyes, and this is to honor the people on Earth. But I knew she wasn't there. I knew it because I saw her go before that. And so that was a confirmation for me. And this is the message that I do bring forward in readings as well, that they're not there. They're not actually going through that suffering. And even in an accident, like a car accident or whatever, that person's gone. That soul is gone in a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. So while the body is passing away, honoring the passing, the soul is not there. I mean, I can see them above the body. I can see the souls, the energy around the people that are left here on Earth. So that's part of our experience, and the experience of the soul. And so that helps people feel better as well, to know that the passing is always peaceful, always. And that's how much power God has given us. That's how powerful we are. We don't have to stay. You can stay if you want to go through the whole experience, or when you figure it's time to go, you can go. So that helps people a lot as well.
It's all up to us.
And it is, and it really is. And those are the gifts that God has given us. And the people like you and I that connect to bring forward these messages, I mean, we each have our job. And that's to help people hear, help soul growth in other people. I mean, I had dreams of going to the same house for years and years and years, and I never understood it for a long time. But I would walk the same path, I would go to the same house, I would sit at the table with a bunch of people I didn't know. Then I found out that these were all aspects of my soul, and that they were all me, that I had been in all those different lives. And so once I realized that, I could sit and talk to them. But up until that point, I had no idea what this was, what this house was, what it represented, but I would have this dream all the time. So there's a lot of messages that come through. The spiriting hours are between midnight and 5 o'clock in the morning, whether you're awake or you're asleep. That's the spiriting hour. That's when the brain is at rest the most in most people. And that's when a lot of things come through. So I would encourage everybody, when you get that full feeling, like you feel really happy and really full, and in an instant that this is what you should do, and this is what you feel, and this is right, that's what we need to follow. Not the stuff that you ramble around in your head and you think about for weeks and there's never really a solution. That's the ego in the mind, and that's what gets in the way. Did you ever notice, you work on something and you're working and working and working and you just can't get it, and as soon as you let it go, it happens?
Yes.
That's because the angels take it. That's right, the angels take it. And ping, in an instant, if it's on your path, in an instant, ping, they take it and they fix it. And that has happened so many times. And, you don't have to have a logical reason for it.
You just have to have the trust and the faith to let go just to let it go.
Exactly.
You're
exactly.
Right. When you finally give up.
That's the divine way.
Yes, it is. And you just have to laugh. That in and of itself is a very big lesson. And I think that when people start catching on to that, and they do it more and more and let go instead of belabor, you'll find things start to happen much more quickly and much more easily. But when I've had that experience, sometimes it just makes me laugh, and I say, "Oh, forget about it. I give up." Well, guess what? That's all you need to do is give up. And all of a sudden, poof, there it is.
Exactly.
It just makes me laugh. I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot, yeah. I don't have to do all of this by myself, do I? I've got lots of angels here to help me, and they just kind of smile and go, yeah, we've been trying to tell you.
Exactly. And you know this as well, when you get connected, my husband drives me when I go to readings or group or anything like that, because when I get so connected, I am not in my body. I mean, I am moving around, but I am not there. I am so connected. The last thing that we did, I walked off and left my purse in the restaurant. I went out the back door instead of the front door, it's just, you just get in that divine process, and it is the most rewarding, wonderful, loving, kind experience to have. And everybody I talk to usually cries because I'm connecting to some experience they've had with somebody from the other side. But it's so healing, and it's such a release because it answers their questions. Was I there? Did I do this? And are they? And that's what people ask me the most is, are they at peace? There's no other way to be. I can tell you, it's just there's nothing else that can happen. I would talk to one gentleman in a workshop that I did, and he said he saw fire, and he was afraid that it was hell. And, I don't know. I've not had that experience. And that may or may not, that's his personal experience. And I didn't think he was a bad guy. I didn't get any bad energy around him or anything. But it's all personal. So I guess that's what I'm saying is it's all a personal journey for all of us. And how we arrive, what we do. And you're in charge of that. You're not in charge of a lot of things. You're not really in control, but you definitely have free will. And you're walking that spiritual path.
Tell people how to get in touch with you, and also tell them what kind of readings you do, you offer. I know that you connect with loved ones, and I know that your readings are very compassionate and full of love and light. But I see that from my side. But tell people about your readings and how to get in touch with you.
Well, mostly I started out with just feelings, and then my oldest sister was a tarot reader and was my mentor, and so of course I did the tarot. And then angel cards, and I use the cards because I think they're beautiful. And sometimes there's surprises in there. Mostly I do mediumship. And that seems to be just the way everything has gone. Sometimes I can get, day-to-day stuff for people, but usually it's the mediumship or the spiritual growth. So it's gotten just beyond the tarot, the day-to-day stuff. And that's where I'm at.
Well, I know a lot of people are on paths of spiritual growth and aren't quite sure if they're not confident in the path that they're on, or that they've got the insight to know what they're supposed to be doing next. So I get a lot of people that have questions about that. And it's always a blessing to make those connections and tell them where they're at and what's happening. So how do people get in touch with you for a reading?
They can just call me. And I do phone readings as well as in-person readings if you're local. And group readings, I've done group readings. I'll come to your house, and as long as you're not 100 miles away. But I've done group readings, so it's I've learned to just accept the process and go with what Spirit says and how Spirit guides me. And so the phone is electric, of course. It's energy. So that's what I do.
And how do they get in touch with you? What's your phone number?
239-825-6682.
239
825 6682.
6682. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I've got just a couple minutes left, and I want to give everyone a final reading before this year ends. But I really thank you from the bottom of my heart, Noreen.
Well, it was a pleasure, and I enjoyed talking with you, and I look forward to seeing you in January.
Oh, thank you for sharing all of that insight and all of that. It just came through as an energy of love and light, and I hope you all felt that, and I hope that her words brought comfort, meaning, insight to all of you, some healing. So that's what it's all about. So thank you for bringing that forward. And get in touch with Noreen for a reading of your own and hear the messages that she has for you from your loved ones to help you on your own path, to help you in your own life, to help you open up to your own spirituality and to the loving energy that surrounds you. So get in touch with Noreen and set up a reading with her, because I know that will be life-changing in the most beautiful and blessed way. So thank you, Noreen, so much for being with us all today. I know that your words have made a big difference.
Thank you, Laura.
All right, everybody, I've got about 2 minutes left, and I want to give everyone a message from the angels and from God. And the last message is from Mother Mary. Just the season. So first, wishing you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. May you be overcome with abundance and happiness. May all of your dreams come true. The messages from the angels are to remember they're all about opening your heart. They're opening your heart to receive love, to receive light, as well as to spread love and light. They're reminding you to soften your heart and have compassion for others, including yourself. They're reminding you everything is fine. The timing is perfect. Spread your wings and fly forward. We're coming up into a new year with new changes. Remember, it's all up to you. So if you're in this place where you're hesitating about making a change, just spread your wings and know that the timing is right. Archangel Uriel is reminding you to pay attention to the ideas and the thoughts that come to you. Those are answered prayers. So open your heart, open your mind to receive and work with the angels, those beings of love that are with you at every moment. And finally, from Mother Mary, she again reminds you to open your heart and allow yourself to feel the full range of emotions in especially all forms of love. Love comes in many forms, and it comes from many places. Your animals, your trees, nature, your loved ones in spirit especially. Open your heart to receive that love from your loved ones in spirit. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. I really look forward to joining with you next year and hearing about the many good things that are coming your way and answering questions and hearing your angel stories. So keep your hearts and minds open. I'll talk to you next year. But until then, you can always reach me at laura@angelsandhealinglight.com. laura@angelsandhealinglight.com. My website is angelsandhealinglight.com. Thank you again, Noreen, Bill. You're wonderful. Thank you, Tiffany White, Sage Woman, producer extraordinaire.
Don't want the fun to end? Grab more refreshments, then head over to Goldilocks Productions' YouTube channel. With over 950 archive shows, the fun doesn't have to end.